Hi, my name is Jenessee, and welcome to this January 2021 Pick Your Path. I'm going to give you a little bit to think about here while you get into the intro, and that is what has changed, because the mantra for this month and this entire year of 2021 is change. So if you think it's done, if you think the big changes are over, you are just about to enter a new cycle that lasts 12 months long that encompasses change. So stick with me and I'll lead you through the January red and blue pick your path. This January, we enter a powerful cycle of change. 2021 boils down to a 5 number, which 5 is all about the change. For a microcosm effect, it's going to be about the change you have to go through. Every single month of this year, there's going to be an evolution, a constant, continual influx of shifting, moving, changing lanes, as I like to call it. And so right when you think you have your hands and mind around what this path might look like, it should be shifting and changing. And that's what I have been trying to prepare you for this whole time. This is what I call multidimensional living. On a big cosmic scale, this is the 5 energy, which we would call the Christ conscious energy. This is recognizing that as above, so below. This is that everything that's going on inside of you is a reflection of what's outside of you. Everything that's outside of you is a reflection of everything that's inside of you. It's the final great integration that has to happen before we enter the 2022 energy, which is this divine integration of the master love energy. And so what we're really preparing ourselves for this year, this evolution from January to December, and I hate to say that right now at the beginning with everything just so shiny, bright, sparkling, and new, but this entire year is here to basically slap you out of the linear, the structure, the point A to point B. This is one life, this is one loop, this is one timeline. It's here to knock that practice and living that way out of you, and it's really here, this 2021 energy, to help to teach you how to stay open, expansive, and living multidimensionally, which is all about, if you break it down, boil it down to human terms, learning how to live in what is happening in the present moment, not getting too far into your future, not getting looped into timelines of the past, being here, trusting that I am, that everything that is happening here is exactly what's supposed to be happening outside of me and vice versa. Trusting in every present moment that you are connected to, learning how to ground into that and gain all the information you need from what's happening in those moments to then choose the right timeline or path moving forward. And so this is the constant freeway situation where it's like when you think this lane is slow, you move over to this lane because you get a few car lengths ahead, and then you end up backing out of that lane and going into the next lane. And so it's all about being able to feel into the ebbs and flows as things around you are changing, shifting into the currents that are naturally moving, steady and flowing, and then being able to navigate that. That is what this entire year is about. And it's going to smack you over and over and over in the face if you're somebody who likes to have control, if you're somebody who likes that linear, I'm here and I've got my 5-year plan and I got my 10-year plan and I'm going to put my blinders on and nothing's going to get in my way. If that's you, by the way, go back and look at our December high vibe, because we had a brilliant high vibe session that's free to anybody who wants to join us at the beginning, the first week of every month. And we did an amazing high vibe for 3 different aspects. But one of those aspects was about people who have a hard time kind of getting out of the narrow focus. And so basically this year is going to be that. It's going to be teaching you how to feel into the flow, how to trust yourself, which red path, here we go. It's going to be all about you this month. And blue path, one of your cards has already fallen on my floor, so I'll have to get up and fix that before we read you. But what we're really looking for this year, and right here in the beginning at the January month, is a new beginning. It's to allow you to click into knowing that what 2020 presented us was to shift your foundation. It was to completely break down the bedrock, the stability, what you felt was support, to basically crack open your world, and then so that you could start to create a new foundation that was going to anchor you, that was based off of your internal guidance, that was right. We were so forced inside in 2020. We were forced not only inside our own homes, but we were forced inside our own mental fields, our own self-actualizing, internalized processes. We had to go inward and really figure out, who am I, what am I feeling, what's my truth, what are my opinions. Gaining this level of discernment was really the 2020 energy, and it was to create this new solid foundation physically for ourselves in this world, and what we're gonna collectively build together, but then also individually. And then, who am I in this new reality, right? What are my truths in this new reality? And we can all come out with different truths. That's the beautiful thing about humanity, is we get to each pick our own level of truth here, and what our highest guiding light is. Although that is the love energy, just to tell you all the magic ingredient there. But as long as it's all based off of love, what your truths are aligned to, you're always going to succeed. And so 2020 was really that year to break all that down, bust it open, crack it open, so that we could build this foundation for ourselves to now enter this reality in. Because now the goal is to have a concrete, solid foundation that we believe in. And then that way, as we're going through this massive shifting, changing energy that will be consistent every month of this year, constantly trying to pull us out of structure, pull us out of linear, again, these 5-10 year plans, anything that is too outside of what's going on now. It's going to take your energy, pull it out of center, and you're going to be, again, kind of spinning your wheels, lost, no momentum, no ability to manifest, no real anchoring feeling like connection to life. And that's just not the place we're moving to. And so this year is all about getting you to learn how to navigate those different opportunities. Again, like changing lanes on the freeway, it's knowing when to put on your blinker and shift, and knowing when to stay in your lane. And that's how we navigate the multidimensional landscape. It's knowing what timelines feel right by simply always checking in your rear view and then coming back into the car, right? This is how you live multidimensionally. You're looking to the left, you're looking to the right, but you always got to stay in your lane where you are in your car. You're going to cause an accident somewhere. So it's checking into the future, reviewing the past, looking to your left and your right, checking out what everybody else is doing, but then coming back and making the decision that's going to serve your little Honda, changing left or right on the freeway. And so this is how we navigate this landscape. And if you haven't already, this January we have launched an amazing digital package. It's called the New You Package. We have 7 facilitators teaching 7 different tools. Myself, every single day with those 7 tools, I'm giving you the little click-ins of how to live multidimensionally and how to stay on the right lanes and how to trust your inner teacher. And so I'll guide you through the multidimensional aspects of what we're moving into this year. And then we've got the 7 facilitators that are going to give you really great tools while you navigate basically this new energy of this 2021 year. So if you haven't already, please do that. Members, that'll come with your membership. So don't worry about purchasing if you're a member. It will be included. If you're not a member, for $22 a month, you can join and sign up. And then that will be a part of what you get to play with. And there's so much more in the membership. I mean, there's certification courses, there's amazing mini courses, there's a whole library of meditations and whatnot. So if you're inclined, please do that, and you'll get the resource of the New You package as well here coming the second week of January. So let's get into reading this energy for January. This time my cards are laid out here and here. And so please forgive me when I'm tracking out to the sides, but that's what I'm looking at, is analyzing the cards that we're going to look at. So again, being here to teach, I'm using the Chakra Oracle deck, which is the 77 Windows to the Soul, which is how I teach people how to live multidimensional. It's basically locking in and clicking into the physical, emotional, and mental planes, which create your ability to stay plugged in to the multidimensional framework, or being able to sense into everything that's happening on every level and layer of you, so that you have that ultimate discernment, so that you trust in your decision-making process, so that you can then live in a really connected, present, and grounded state, to then make the micro movements and shifts and changes at the right time in that free way of life, to stay aligned to what's going to serve you, what's going to bring you the most joy, and keep you connected to the love and the perfection of everything that is around us. So as we dive in, if you haven't done this before, I offer you 2 opportunities to walk a path this month, and we're looking at January, this new beginning, this new start to the year, where we're in this change year. So really, we're going to be jumping in, wetting our whistles here, and starting to play around with what it feels like to live in this multidimensional framework. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of really cool energetic things that are happening this year. I know a lot of people personally who are really sensitive, really psychic, really attuned to the landscape, and they're picking up on a lot of things that are going to be coming to light this year. So I have no doubt in my mind we're all going to be kind of wowed by some of the cool things that come in this year. And here we go. So to get you right in alignment, so you can feel and live into that same kind of cool, fun, perfection vibe that a lot of other people are tapped into. Let's get you picking a path. So why you want to pick a path is because intentionally, when you choose to walk in alignment to your truth, what you've been experiencing, it helps you clear the clutter of everything else. It gets you really narrowly focused on areas where things are happening within you right now. Again, how we read the 77 Windows to the Soul, or how I read this part of the process for you, is by getting you to feel into, where have I come from last month in December? What was going on energetically? What kind of choices was I making? And then when you click into that, which is what we're going to review first for the red and blue path, then that really gets you into alignment with what kind of energy you might start to experience here in this new beginning, because of what you were experiencing in December. And so that's how this works, and it does work as long as you're grounded and present and really truthful, with yourself. Then as we look forward and look into what might be changing for you, this happens to everybody. We're all connected to the 77 windows in the exact same way. We all have our physical bodies, our emotional bodies, and our mental bodies, and then all connected to kind of divine source or spirit. And that's how we can read this very clearly for each and every one of us, although we're so unique and different, but very attuned to kind of what's going on and changing individually on each of our microcosm levels. So as we go in here, what I want you to do is just take a nice deep cleansing breath and really kind of anchor yourself back into what was happening in December. So just breathing in deeply through the nose and exhaling completely out through an opened mouth, bringing all of your awareness back into your body. And as we do that, now I'm going to start to talk to you about the potentials for the paths. So red path, if you're going to be picking red path this month, it's because in December you were in tolerance energy. And what this means is you were very aligned to your purpose. Everything about your purpose, your truth here, who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, so crystal clear. Yet, in December, you being able to live that purpose was like, and I love saying this, like being in a Walmart parking lot or your grocery store's parking lot, or even Costco. Costco's a bad one too, where when you drive and you are like trying to get to, a little bit of speed, and then you have to go over another speed bump. And then it's like, so you have to slow down, put on the brakes and go over speed bump. But then you put on the accelerator and then, oh gosh, there's another speed bump. So it's like this start and stop. This like constant, like you get energy, momentum, you're driving fast. And then it's like all of a sudden life has to throw you another speed bump where you have to throw on the brakes, slow down, proceed with caution, and then you get to put on the accelerator again. And so this is, in essence, the energy of what you should have been experiencing in December if you're going to be picking red path. It's all about, you know, you being so clear, so crystal clear on what you're here to do, and then, you know, wanting to live it, wanting to do it, but then, you know, you get to accelerate and you feel like you got momentum, and then all of a sudden here comes another speed bump, and you got to slow down and proceed with caution, and then you get to floor it again, and then you got to slow down again. So if that feels like your December, a little bit of this yo-yoing energy, a little bit of this, well, a lot of tolerance, right? It would be tolerance because, again, you are clear, but there are things outside of you that maybe are out of your control, or maybe just kind of happen to be within your reality of what you're working with, and these things just show up and get in your way, and you have to then tolerate what's happening. Tolerate the people, tolerate the conversations, tolerate the government stipulations, tolerate the, you know, workplace regulations, whatever it is, however this is hitting your life. It's all about being in this tolerating energy. And so if that feels like what your December was, where you come from, or some of the energy you were experiencing, you will be red path. And again, how this works is because of that energy, right? Tolerance energy is all about the physical aspects of your purpose. It's crown chakra level stuff coming in. That's the physical embodiment of your purpose, meeting the emotional experience of the throat chakra level. This is how you're able to produce your spiritual purpose in this world. It's how you're able to live it. And when those two energies meet and create this intersection point, the spiritual lesson here is we have to be in tolerance. We have to not only tolerate what's going on outside of us, but find tolerance within ourselves. And maybe we are going a little too fast, a little too pushing the gas when we should be enjoying what's happening around us, or even just waiting for the energy of alignment to come in to keep us in that perfect, remember the changing lanes here on the freeway, keeping us in that perfect alignment to the flow of the universe and everything that's happening around us. And so tolerance energy can come in because we have to tolerate the BS happening outside of us, or we have to tolerate our own want to accelerate and push forward when it's not the right time, when we should have been maybe going a little bit slower, observing, you know, all the great trees that are lining the freeway. Hopefully you have that pleasure and it's not a concrete jungle you're driving in all the time. But anyways, so it's all about having this and learning about tolerance. And so again, if that's what you were experiencing in December, you will be red path. And then we're going to give on the red path how to kind of move through your month of the new beginning here in January. We'll give you what the mastery is. And then after the mastery, we'll go into the new beginning, which happens right around the teens of the month when the new moon hits on the 13th. And then we'll go into the duality, which will strike around the 28th, right around the full moon of the month, which happens and starts right around the 20s of January 20th and on. And so we'll go over what's going to be aligned to you because of the choices and energy you were playing in back in December. So now we're going to get into blue path. And blue path is a little bit more over here. So when we look at blue path, the energy from December that blue path was playing with is shame energy. And so, gosh, this is one of the hardest shadows, blocks in a chakra. It's the hardest to admit. We as humans cover up our shame with every excuse, everything. The last thing we want to feel is shame in this life. And so it is one of the hardest to self-identify. And so I'm going to try very hard to get you into how this could be moving through you from December. Oh, I have a whole lot of you, my friends and people I know coming into my head to help me explain shame. I know a whole lot of you that are going to be walking Blue Path this month, but I wonder if you'll admit it. Okay, so shame. So number one, it's a block of the solar plexus chakra. And when I use the word block, please understand this is a block can be here 1 second and be totally gone the next second. Block sounds like a very immovable object, right? It sounds like there's something wrong with you. Not the case when I talk chakra theory. A block is really just to let you know that it's an emotional block and it's something that we've resisted and that we've layered multiple meanings on. I love using the Shrek analogy here when he's talking to Donkey and trying to explain an ogre and how he's like, an ogre's like a cake with many layers, and Donkey's trying to say it's an onion, right, with all the layers. And so this is what happens when we block an energy of our chakra system. We have some kind of imprint, something that affects us, something that really traumatizes us or makes us question ourselves, and creates this automatic response where we want to cover it up because we weren't ready to learn what was coming in as the wisdom of that interaction. It was too negative, it was too harmful, too hurtful to our psyche or even our physical state. It could be very physical, it could be emotional, it could be mental, how this trigger comes in, but something happens to you that automatically has you start to tell a story about it that corrects and over time makes what actually happened not as hurtful, painful, compromising to the soul that had to experience it. And so what happens is we start to cover that story up, and that will inevitably create patterns within our life that then express. And this is how we consider chakras to be blocked. And usually what happens is on the emotional plane, we'll have some kind of emotional trauma or trigger that then will create this pattern, this cycle of not owning the seed of what happened, and it has us replaying this cycle over and over and over in our lives until we heal that original trauma. And so that was a whole long-winded explanation of shadow or block. And so what we're looking at for people who in December were experiencing shame, it's a block of the solar plexus chakra. And so it's a something that happened here. And I really like this because let's remove some of the heaviness to it. This could be definitely it will be something that you've been patterning for a long time, but let's just stick to the realm of what happened in December. And so there, in December, were you feeling like you weren't good enough somewhere, where you weren't performing up to somebody else's standards, or like you were slacking in some way, right? And you took that on like you weren't good enough. Was this something as outside of you that you wanted to protect people from knowing something was happening to you, right? Like the shame of covering something up, of having something happen in your life that it's just, gosh, this could be even some people who felt victimized because somebody in their family got COVID, and you don't want to quote unquote tell anybody you got COVID because now the shame, it's like wearing the scarlet letter for your family or something, right? And it's like these types of things, right, where it could be so small in somebody else's eyes, but for you, this was something that at your core, it made you feel like you weren't good enough, you weren't living up to your standards, like you were letting somebody else down. And so it's putting on a layer of protection or trying to make yourself feel better about who you think you are inside, right? And so trying to get the validation or that about who you are externally because you're feeling like you're not living up to the perfection or the greatness that you could, right? And so shame comes in, and again, this is, if it came in December, you need to know, however it came in December, whatever that trigger, whatever that moment, whatever that thing is that really got you feeling one way and like you needed to protect or cover up or get validation that you were still good enough, worthy enough, however this was happening to you. If this came in, it's coming in because this is a pattern that you have that plays out, and it's letting you know that there is still work that's having to be done around the identity, the human ego. And I know people don't like to hear the word ego in connection to something they would self-identify with, but when I use the word ego, I use it lovingly to express what the human journey is about. I love my ego. I know my ego. I know Jennessee's ego very well. I know when things are affecting Jenessee the human and what the ego tries to fight for in the identity that is Jenessee and what she's created in this world. And it's beautiful because when that comes out, I know that there's still a part of the individual that's working there, and it's always going to be there because I'm human. But it's integrating that within your high self and with your divine self, which again, we're in this 5-year here, which is all about change. And the 5 years, this Christ conscious energy. And if we're talking low self, high self, divine self, blue path, this would be you integrating that Christ conscious energy. This would be you coming into that unity plane. This would be you letting go of another one of these limitations of the human identity that needs to be let go of, that needs to be told it's okay, you're good enough. Everything you are is perfect, right? This is somebody who is still questioning who they are. When we have shame, it's a direct assault that we're not good enough. What we're creating, who we are, how we're presenting in this world is not yet good enough per who we think we should be, or what your expectations of yourself are, or even just, again, needing that validation that exactly who you are is exactly who you're supposed to be. And so, people who pick this, I would say, there might have been a very, minute trigger or something, maybe not minute when it's shame, it's connected to you and it's very heavy, but again, it's hard to identify and call out that this is shame. So if you can do that, if you can really identify that what you were experiencing in December was shame, it was this, needing more validation over the self, or trying to protect how people saw you, your family, your relationship, right? Whatever you were going through, whatever changes, big changes were happening. I mean, there's so many expectations that society puts on us to be these perfect members of society. And when something is not in alignment to that, we can take that on like our own scarlet letter, this shame letter, right? That we're trying to protect how people perceive us or what they might think of us, right? So we can fit in more. And again, all of these things are really helping you to realize that there is still a part of you that is longing to feel like it's living its complete authentic truth. And so if shame came up, it's just another one of these ways that you're being guided to know that that there is still more self-love. There's still more that you are being asked to accept about yourself, because the shame can only come in when, and here's my favorite word again, ego, but this is again in a beautiful way, when you truly know who you are, when you truly feel that confident over who you are, what you're bringing to this world, authentic discernment, the complete authentic trust in what this is. Jenessee here, you out there, like who you are, when you trust completely in that, there is nothing that can create shame in that. Of course we have to self-regulate, and that's a part of the process, but there's no feeling of worthlessness or self-doubt or needing to protect or hide a part of it, right? You are 100% uniquely and authentically you, and that is so divine. And this is part of the bigger integration that's happening. And so for, again, the change, the Christ conscious energy, the as above, so below, this knowing that if I've thought about it, if I perceived it, even if I've had a glimpse of who I am or my power or my majesty, that's exactly who I am, right? And so it's then just coming into trust with that. And shame would come in to say that there's still a level of you that doesn't fully believe in you. And that is the biggest, if I could just cut and delete everything else out, that would be the biggest message here for big blue path. It's like there's still a part of you that doesn't completely believe in who you are and what you're doing and what you're creating and what you're, how you're showing up in this world. And so that is why you would pick Blue Path, because, you're in a new beginning and you're ready to let that part of you go. And again, this is going to be the whole energy of transformation. So I'd say people who are picking Blue Path, you're really shifting into a bigger 12-month process here. And so, just trusting that you're picking this really to keep yourself in divine alignment to the year and the year energy of what's coming in. So really, red and Blue Path, that would be it. Blue Path, if you jumped right after you heard red, what we're going to do next is go into then your mastery, what the mastery teaching is, learning is for you to click into for January. And then going into the new beginning, which happens right around the new moon, which is the 13th of January. It starts around the 10s, and then the duality, we'll look at what your duality is going to be come the end of the month. The full moon, which is on the 28th, it starts around the 20s. So stay tuned. We're going to go right in with, let's go red path. I was going to go blue, but I'm going right to red path. Welcome, Red Path. Let's get started. So, real small recap. You're here because you were tolerating a lot of stuff, either your stuff or other people's stuff in December. And so that's why you pick this path. So let's get into what your mastery is going to be. So the mastery at this level, again, January is all about new beginnings. And for you, it's really very interesting because what made you pick red path was probably you aligned to this more than the blue path shame. Yet what I get here in your path is really a lot of internally some stuff going on that they're really having you work inside yourself. And so maybe the slowdown and the tolerance energy, again, being so aligned, so true, so clear on who you are. And then, gas pedal brake through December, right? This speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. So the mastery for you this January comes in. And again, the mastery is about what your big lesson is. This is what you're clicking into because of what you've been choosing, the experiences, and energetically what you were experiencing through December. Now you have a whole set of energetic kind of gateways, right, that you're walking through here come January. And again, it's aligned to the changing, living more multidimensional, this change energy that is 2021. And then more of the gateways come in because of January being January and this new way to present ourselves, new way to understand ourselves, new way to start clicking into living in this changing world, right? And so for you, the mastery of this month, and this is the energy that you can master. This is part of why you are making choices, why you are experiencing what you're experiencing has now led you to this new unfolding, this new potential within yourself. And the new potential for you comes in with your intuitive centers. And you have a tendency, I'm going to just keep calling you red path, you have a tendency to deny how spiritually connected and powerful you are. You have a big old tendency to, maybe you're even one of these people who is so clear when it comes to other people, giving advice to other people, helping other people out, really clear for them. Maybe you even feel that sometimes for yourself, but there is a pattern of denial where you, when it comes to your intuitive third eye center, you tend to dim your light. You tend to pull back from the potential, from the power, from how very clear you are, and maybe even how you voice it when people say, oh my gosh, you're so this, that, or the other, and you instantly, oh well, I'm not that good. It's this like, oh, that's not really me. And that energetically is the same thing here, is like thinking it or feeling it internally or not being able to accept it when somebody else says it to you. All these things go into this part of what's coming out of you and through you in this new beginning here at the January month of the 2021 year. And so, your mastery here is to get through this denial energy and to start to own your power, your potential, your ability to see clearly what's going on. And I'm not saying you have to be psychic, clairvoyant. You don't have to be any of those things. But really, clairvoyance breaks down to seeing clearly. And so it's really being able to see and trust. And that's the biggest thing, is being able to see clearly the big picture, and then trust. So if we're going to break this down to a very in the moment, what all of 2021 is teaching you and what you're stepping into as the new beginning, it's about knowing that you can see the greater potential. You have the ability to see everything, but then maybe you get into the old patterns of, well, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, I can feel into this, I can sense into it, and then it's like, oh, old pattern, but I need my 5-year plan, or I need to work this out this way. I need to make sure I have everything checked off my list so that I can attain that and it can be all perfect like I saw it. That is the old system. And so maybe this is saying you need, part of this mastery of this new beginning is about knowing that every time you see or sense into the big picture, you get this big kind of clarity moment, that knowing that as soon as you can see it and sense into it, it's already a part of your path. That all you need to do now is be present, live in the moment, and trust in everything that's happening to be able to navigate, again, remember the changing lanes of 2021, being able to navigate the ebbs and flows of that freeway of life and staying in the right pocket at the right time to not get stuck behind the big semi. So this, you could take it always, one of the ways that I just explained it, it could be a tendency to deny your true, clairvoyance and the ability to really know and see and sense into what is, even though it's not clearly physically here yet, but being able to sense into that greater energy. It could be that that's coming in for you, really stepping into more of your power there. And it can be that and this or this, which is then also, being able to sense it, feel it, know it's there, and then stay really in alignment. Stay really in alignment and trust that that living multidimensional means just that, perceiving and then being in the moment, perceiving and then coming back into center, not getting stuck in any of these points that are going to pull you out of center, not doing things on repetition, on pattern that will lock you into loops that get you out of the natural flow of how things need to be. So that'll be a lot of the mastery for you this month, Red Path. And then we're going to quickly tap into just your new beginning and your duality, so you can kind of know, you can write it down on your calendar. Hopefully, who knows how this year is going to go for me, if I'm going to be doing videos on the new and full moon still, but who knows, maybe. So let me just tell you what this energy is, so you can have a level of expectation for it. So the new beginning, which happens to me, I always say it comes in around the 10s. The first week of the month typically is an integration into the new flow, the new energy. And then as you enter into those teens, which start right at the 10, and then start to go into the 11, 12, and so on until you hit the 20s, to me, that's the new energy. That's where you start to really unfold, and start to, it's almost like an activation, an infusion of the potential of this path, and walking with and in alignment to the mastery, which is trusting in all of this. And so for you, the new beginning comes in, and it's interesting. So I'll tell you what it is, and then I'll read it for you. So this is the window of a hyper solar plexus chakra, which is going to have you out here. Out here. So it's all about projecting into the future, and it's projecting your knowing into the future. So you can see how this is going, right? Well, hopefully. So again, we just did a denial, which is, distrusting in that once I have it and I sense it, that it's already in my path, and all I have to do is trust in myself and show up every day, and I'll get there as long as I stay in the flow of it. instead of doing some of these old things, old patterns, you know, trying to plan it out, trying to control it, trying to, you know, align every energy to it. And so your mastery is really about sensing it, seeing it, and trusting and living in it, right? And then the new beginning is all about this arrogance energy. So again, the new beginning for you is about when, we'll say, in the past, how this would happen for you, sensing into it, seeing into it, and then it's your vision. So what you do is I know what I need to be doing, so I take all of that knowing of what I just brought in, and I'm going to project it, and that's what it's got to be. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I. There's so many I's attached to this, right? And it's like taking that clairvoyance, that knowing, that trust, that truth, and then wrapping it up into your story, making it your story and projecting it into your future. And then now you're attached to your story in the future. And so again, this is very singular. This is what we're being stripped of here in the 5. If I'm going to go to the greater cosmic scale of this, which is the Christ conscious energy. This is Christ conscious energy is the integration of as above, so below, which connects right into the heart chakra, which is all about unity consciousness. There are no I's in unity consciousness. And so for my friends on Red Path, there is this old tendency to be very clairvoyant, sense, feel, understand, be sensitive to things that are changing, but then package it into your story, and then, you know, you're working towards your story. And again, when you do that, it just has a sense of limitation around it. So the new beginning for you is knowing how to sense and see and feel, but also know that when you're doing this at this sensitivity level, that it's not just about you, that everything you could be picking up, especially if it's mentally, my friends, if you're up here picking stuff up, if you're thinking it, sensing it. Now, if it's emotionally, if you're feeling it, it's a little bit closer to home, right? Where if you're, you know, in it in your physical, you know now it's coming through in your world. But if you're thinking it or feeling it, right, into these potentials, that's still collective energy. Not all of this has an I involved, yet anytime we think or we feel, we put it in a container of our individual experience to understand it. I do this all the time when I read people. I have to process things through my life experience and then try and explain it to them so they understand what I'm reading in them. This is just how we all do it. There's nothing wrong in this. This is how we interpret energy that we think and feel. We put it into an I container. But what you need to know, Red Path, is that when you put it in an I container and you don't let go of the you stamp on it, right? If you keep that it's all your stuff, everything you're thinking and feeling, it's all your stuff, you're going to limit yourself. When you think it and feel it and sense into it, the goal here is to know that is a potential. And yeah, it's like taking a softball and throwing it, softball, look at my softball throwing arm. So taking a softball and throwing it into your future. And it's like, you know, okay, that could be a potential. Thank you. You know, I felt it. I saw it. That's pretty cool. If that happens the way it happens, wow, amazing. I'm going to throw it into my future. And if that unfolds because I'm staying true to me and doing things in alignment to what feels right in the day and what I'm picking up on, then that unfolds. And when I get there, it might look exactly like I saw it and I felt it, or it might have taken on a totally different energy because it was not just me. It was a ton of other people that were included in this as well. And so, you know, when we identify all these energies and put our unique stamp on it, and then hold on to that like it's ours, this is where we just constantly get ourselves, again, in duality, in separation. Things they'll be aligned to your human, your ego, not to the greater, bigger picture here. And I don't know how well I'm articulating this. Makes complete sense in my head. We'll see. Hopefully I'm articulating it well enough for you. But the infusion of energy that you're going to get here is a release of the I identity. And so, you know, I would say that around the 10s of the month, you might be finding yourself stripping away another one of those those levels, those layers, that ego connection, that arrogance. And, I hate to use these words because they're hard words to self-identify with, right? But it's really just, it's taking the I out of the spirituality. It's taking the I out of the bigger picture. It's allowing you to be able to see, sense, and feel into things and hold it as a collective container that you're perceiving because you're connected to it in some way. But is it all about you? Probably not. And so, it's about letting go of another level of this I identity that's keeping you separated from the infinite potential of everything you could be tapped into here. And so right around the new moon, this will be a bit of the new energy coming in. So I'd say look for some shifting, look for maybe, and it might, how it's coming in is a hyper chakra here. So that could be sometimes perceived as a I don't want to, there's nothing to be scared of here, but like a negative, I'd say there might be a negative experience that comes in. Somebody might tell you no, somebody, there's something that's going to help make you kind of take this step back and go, oh my gosh, and have to like self-actualize or go inward and find out why did that just happen that way. And then it'll be another letting go of the identity, another letting go or stripping down of the self. And so truly that's it's a blessing. It's a big blessing in what will happen, but it might come packaged in a little bit of a not so comfortable situation, but the package that's being delivered to you is another way to let go of some of this ego-ish identity that has you perceiving and sensing into things you're thinking and feeling, and only connecting it to yourself and allowing that to be let go of so that you can be even more open to more of these potentials as they come in, and keep you staying more fluid between all the potentials that you could take to get to that highest, most aligned place at the end of the year, right? If we're gonna play a silly example there. Okay, so as we get into the duality, which comes in around the 28th of the month, where it's going to start happening around the 20s of January. You'll start to get the infusion of this energy as we get, stronger and more connected to the full moon, which the full moon illuminates the duality. It illuminates the shadow side of ourselves. So the duality comes in, and for you, it's about manifesting connection, which is interesting. So this is going to be about being really present to the groups, the communities you're a part of. And so, but this is a manifesting energy. So it's all about manifesting connections, but this is the duality. So if we go back to, interesting. So I'd say, if we're looking at the new energy and the new moon energy and the full moon energy, I'd say, it's almost like old paradigm networking as opposed to new paradigm networking. Like if you think of like networking or why anybody joins like a networking community, and I'm thinking just very solely like business, career oriented here. If it's in any reason or any way to indulge the self or to inflate the self or to find more validation in you, the self, who you are, and that's why you're connecting, that's why you're going into these communities, it will be a signal that the new energy that came in around the 10th, this arrogance, this projecting kind of the I identity of what you're receiving into the future and staying attached to it as connected to just you. I think the duality will come in respect to the communities or that you're a part of, or these networks, or whatever it is, the bigger groups that you're a part of. You'll start to see that it'll be more ego based. Maybe you'll start to see other people as being really ego based, and it feels really awkward, and that'll be a sign that you're also ego based. It's all this mirror work we have to do. That the groups that you're connected to, the people you're connected to, right? If you're seeing and and perceiving individuality, if you're perceiving, and I don't like these words because they're so extreme, but like selfishness, ego, if you're still seeing this in the groups or the connections or these things that are outside of you, then it's a sign that, you know, that you probably from the integration time at the beginning of the month didn't actually let go of the part of you that needed to be let go of when maybe that kind of trigger came in around the 10s, the new moon, that you maybe were still holding on to some identity instead of letting go to be more expansive in what's changing. Again, why you're here is because you got your purpose, baby. Like you're in it. You're in it. And you've been stop and go and touch and go, touch and go. And so, you know, you're really clear, and really now for you, Red Path, it's the fine tuning of your path. It's fine tuning to get you to start operating from more of the collective space than the individual space. And so that would be your big new beginning, Red Path. So thank you so much. If you have not, please sign up to either become a member. It's $22 a month to get access to the new You Digital package that's being launched around the 8th of January and will be given to the members. Or you can always buy the package outright. I think through January it'll be the early bird special, which will be $99. And you can just buy it one time there if you want, and then after January the digital package I think will go back up in price, but that is where we are. So with so much light and love, I will see you hopefully around the new moon, but we'll see what transpires. With light and love. Okay, Blue Path. So remember, I'm dragging it out this way for you, so sorry when I'm over here. I have 4 of the chakra oracle deck cards laid out. These are the 77 windows to the soul. And so this is how I track how you are operating multidimensionally, right? And what kind of decisions you were making last month. Again, our chakra system is completely connected to the energy field and what we're pulling in. Our energy field literally creates our experiences through what we think, what we feel, and what is in our reality and showing up here. And so this is how we are basically projecting into our world. And so that's how I use these cards to kind of read collectively what you might be experiencing, and then how you can expect to move forward into this next month. So the reason why you're here on Blue Path is because you have self-identified something with shame. And I just want to say it's very interesting. I love how Divine does this sometimes, to just say yes. I might have had some shame aspects coming through in December, and then pick the Blue Path. Red Path actually had more of a path of what we would expect the shame unfolding to be. And Blue Path, I truly do love what you're going to be experiencing. It's really a coming back into center. It's a harmonizing of your energy here. I really, really do love it. It's almost like the test. Like if you really did pick Blue Path and shame and admit it, it's like, well, here you go. You're going to get a little cookie, you know, because you picked it. So it's almost like the test is already done, which I really, really enjoy. And some really interesting big things coming for you, you know, in walking this, and the potential of walking this path this month. So as we get into the mastery, so the mastery for you, and the mastery, anytime we do this, is really because of what you were experiencing last month, all of the energy that you were experiencing last month, and why you picked Blue Path. Now it's creating this potential of what you can connect into. It's creating a potential of energy that you can learn from and literally become a master of in this moment, right? And so in this new beginning, in this 5-year, again, if we're talking big picture here, this year is all about, it's really beautiful. You know, if you're on this path, it's really, you're living this month, you're living the path of the entire year, which I truly love. You're going to get a really great kind of introduction into the year's energy here. And so the mastery is all about giving you an opportunity to become the master of this aspect of your energy field. And when you do that, there's no going back. There's no shutting that window. There's no going back from becoming the master and learning it at that mastery level. And so the mastery for you comes in, and it's all about high self and connection to your heart. This is about appreciation. It's about appreciating the journey, and that's what I absolutely love about this, because shame, again, to really truly admit that there was something that I thought I had already dealt with. There was a part of me that I thought I had reconciled, I had come to terms with, and to admit that maybe I haven't fully achieved what I thought I achieved. It takes a big amount of vulnerability, takes a really deep introspective kind of look at yourself, and to really say, I thought I was here, but maybe I wasn't completely that confident, or that in alignment with my authentic truth. And so when you admit this, now they're saying the mastery for you here is all about, now once you do this, once you see it this way, and once you see how easy it is to start to distrust the human path, right? To get locked into that isolated human journey where the human doesn't feel good enough. The human doesn't feel like it's connected enough to its purpose, its divine self, or its high self. It's, how it's doing and creating and being a part of the collective of all of humanity, right? When you start to get yourself trapped in this singular human experience and thinking you're not doing enough, living enough, producing enough, being enough, any of these things, this shame quality, when you get there, it's honestly, it's a separation from the high self and the divine self. And again, this being the year 2021 where we're integrating all aspects of self, low self, high self, divine self, we're creating that Christ consciousness here, and it all connects into the heart. And the fact that this mastery energy is literally your high self energy and your heart energy coming together to be a unifying, connecting bond. This is the potential for you this month. This is the potential to realize that the human can always be in limitation, right? The highest part of my spirit could always be so in its own, we'll call it like spiritual narcissism, that it disconnects from any, any truth of the physicality or what needs to happen here in human. But when we can be all of it, when you can be low self, high self, and divine self, knowing that all these three things can live and need to live together in unity and harmony, it means that you're going to be constantly pulled through all of these aspects of yourself. And when you're being pulled through all these different levels and wants and aspects of the self, that there could be judgment and going from one to the next, right? Judgment of how the low self is doing it, or judgment over the high self, or whatever aspect you're trapped in, right? There could be judgment of the other aspects of you. And when you can learn that everything that you want, everything you're connected to, that however you're doing it, as long as it's bringing you joy, love, and happiness, as long as you're constantly connected to those vibrations, that there's nothing else that you can do in any other moment. And that brings such a trusting connection and interlocking kind of level of discernment into you that cannot be taken away. And so, for you, that's the mastery, is like having that. It's like the lock being turned in the key of this high-low self, the three aspects of self, the Christ consciousness coming in. As above, so below comes in and interlocks in your heart space, it's like the key is locked. There's no more, there's no more distrust in who I am or how I'm doing any of it, because as long as I am loving myself, loving other people, in my joy, right? As long as those are the things that are happening, that everything else will work itself out. And that's not saying life's not going to be hard for the human or for the high self or whatever aspect of yourself you're in, but that just means that you have enough trust in who you are and what you believe to be your truth, that nothing outside of you can take that away. And so that is your mastery, is being an appreciation over your pursuits of the spiritual or the spiritual integration, but having the unconditional love for all aspects of you that have to go through that finding yourself. And so it's having unconditional love for the low self you, for the high self you, and for the divine self you. It's having unconditional love, knowing that all of these three things are very different, have different wants, different needs, and to be in respect and love no matter what's happening at any of these levels, because knowing that you are the consciousness that's operating at all three. It's just the ultimate level of connection to self, without having any judgment over that self, and being really open to all the beauty that can come from that. So that is your mastery. Again, that is the energy of what you're learning, and you have the ability to just click right into right now, right? The mastery is what we walk. Everything we experience through January in this new beginning month will be to get you to understand more appreciation for yourself. So I'd expect your path to be very, extreme, pulling you through the ringer of like old paradigm stuff, where some of that shame came in with the human, where some of the disconnect came in when you were too spiritual or too in that arena. I feel like you'll be pulled through multiple aspects of the self, and really tested to see if through every aspect you're pulled through, if you can still be in appreciation over everything that's happening and what you're going through. So, and then when you can stay in appreciation for all of it, that would be the mastery. That would be that lock and key situation coming in to really say, you've got it. You know how to do this. You know how to stay in love with yourself no matter what's happening, and trust in yourself no matter what's happening. And so then your new beginning. So the new beginning comes in around again, the new moon is the 13th of January, but the new beginning really, for me, starts around the 10s. The 10s, that becomes kind of the programming of it. And then you get the gateway of the 11, and then you start to kind of face off with the old, because this will be the new, right? And so, there's a progression of how you walk through this from 10 to 20. The January 10th to January 20th. And so the new beginning here comes in like an activation. It's this infusion of energy that comes into your path to really shift you into a new level of experience in helping to align you to the mastery. And so for you, this is about manifesting a huge transformation. And so this is a transformation that happens on the human level. So gosh, talking all these things, it could be, it's a massive, it's this like caterpillar to butterfly moment. Metamorphosis is happening, but it's happening to the human you. And so expect a very big change. Very, very, very big change that comes in and shakes and rocks your world. Lots of energy infused here. Again, it's probably propelling you into a new state to see. Again, now a lot of focus is going to be shifted onto that human. And so, are you going to be being able to handle the pressure? Probably more pressure put on you, probably more workload, probably a lot. It's just something very energetic, right? It's this energy of change, energy of transformation, but it's going to specifically affect the human you. And so, again, being somebody who's coming with from December with some of this shame aspect, and then trying to hold and learn appreciation, that's going to be the goal. What's going to transpire here is going to rock your world in the human sense, and bring in a lot of energy that could have you maybe questioning, am I doing enough again? It's going to trigger back into that shame aspect. So again, this is the infusion. It's going to be a great thing, but it's also going to trigger you into old patterns. So, think of some things changing and transforming where you might have to let go of other things, and really make honest decisions with what keeps you in alignment to your love, your self-love, your joy, all of these things as the shifts happen. And then at the duality, so the duality comes in to kind of give us that test or the initiation to make sure we've really 100% mastered the appreciation energy. And so this comes in January 28th is the full moon. So right around the 20s, the duality will start coming in. The 28th, the full moon illuminates really the big aspect of where the shadow or where the illumination, that magnifying lens needs to be put into your life. So the 28th will maybe highlight that for you. But right around the 20s, you start to get into this swinging of emotions. And so it's a lot of questioning. It's a lot of going back and forth. It's going to be really emotional. And for you, this is the emotion. So it's a heart chakra emotion. It's the protecting yourself. It's the inability to become completely vulnerable. Again, because in the beginning of the month, there was this big transformation, a big metamorphosis, which is going to shake and rock your human world. And then what you're going to start to ebb into is going back into protecting yourself. And when you do that, if you don't get completely vulnerable, if you don't completely come out, right, then it's going to be this swinging between extremes, high highs, low lows. This is depression energy because, again, it can be like that manic depressive energy where it's just, you're going to constantly be swinging between the realities. And so, again, the duality comes in to test you. In the beginning of the month, big shifts, big changes. And now as you get tested with it, when things are making you question and you're not quite sure how this energy is going and you're feeling vulnerable, you're protecting yourself from being too vulnerable, you're getting really emotional or getting thrown into highs and lows, what are you going to do? Are you going to go back into distrusting that you've made the right choice? Are you going to go back into distrusting yourself? Or are you going to pass this test and know that every time we come into a new metamorphosis, we're always going to swing to refine our center. And then once you choose who you are and move forward with that and just do things based off of your joy, no matter what the physical circumstances might look like, as long as you're in that flow, in discernment with yourself, you can make decisions that'll get you out of some of those emotional swings of what's happening here, what am I doing, oh my gosh, did I make the right choice? So that is your path for this month, Blue Path. If you have not already, sign up to be a chakra member. It's $22 a month if you want to access the New You package, which is coming out, the digital package from the New You January Summit. So that'll be launched into the membership. If you don't want to do membership monthly, you can always buy that package outright. It teaches you how to live in these 77 windows, and it also has 6 other amazing facilitators who will give you tools, really tangible tools to use throughout the new year. And so I'm just really excited to present that. Again, members, you'll get that included with your membership, so don't buy the digital package. Everybody else, you can either join membership or it's a $99 digital package until January is over, and then it'll go back up in price. So with so much light and love for your new year, and we will look forward to seeing you hopefully at the 16th or the new moon energy of this month. With light and love.